Hello, this is Rad from RADACAD. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can split different parts of the text using a delimiter. If you have one delimiter repeated multiple times, how you can extract all different parts of text from it instead of extracting one value at a time, how this is possible to get them all separated using that. Let's see how it works. If you have a text field with delimiters in it, one of the best places that you can separate these is through Power Query. So if you are in Power BI Desktop, you can go to the Home tab and access Power Query Editor using Transform Data. When you come to the Power Query Editor, let's say this is, for example, my sample input text, and you can see that it is separated using that / character. These are folder path, and let's say the requirement here is that I want to separate every one of these values separately, like each of these should be a separate column. If that is my requirement, then normally a split column by delimiter is much better than extract text before delimiter or after delimiter. It is much easier to use it this way. I have another video and blog about text before or after delimiter, but a split column by delimiter works much better in this case. To use it, you can simply just right click on the column, choose a split column by delimiter, that option. And when you choose that brings this very simple interface. You can choose what the delimiter is. My delimiter / is not one of these. I'll choose custom and I type / in here. By default, it will split at every occurrence of that delimiter. It means as many as these you have in your text doesn't matter. It will split each of these into one column. If you choose any of the other two, it will act like text before extract text before delimiter or after delimiter, but this one would split at every occurrence. When I click on that, click on OK, then you see that the magic happens. It split every one of those into a column. The number of columns would be the maximum number of columns available based on those values, and if there is nothing in that particular thing, it would return null in there. So really simple transformation. It just convert data from that into this by just a split column by delimiter. Now a split column by delimiter split into columns by default. Each of those areas between those delimiters would be a column, but sometimes you may want to make it rows. We want to split it into rows. For example, what would be the benefit of splitting into rows? Something like this, if you split it into rows, may not make much sense. But if I have a table like this, this is a table that I have the ID column and the color. The color, however, is not like one color. I have multiple color values. It is separated by this comma. And sometimes I have one, sometimes I have 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. The ideal output of this would be having a table with 2 columns, one column to be ID, another to be color. And for example, for ID 1, color red, 1 blue, 1 white, then 2 yellow, 2 orange, something like that, right? So if you want to do that, then easy way to do it would be, I'm just removing these steps. Easy way to do it would be simply just right click on this, split column by delimiter. The delimiter is comma, but this time under advanced options, I can choose split into rows, not columns, which is the default. When I say split into rows, this would split it, but into rows, and other columns would be repeated beside it as well, other column values. Very good option if the nature of that value is the same. It has the same meaning. Not good for the previous option because each folder might have a different meaning, subfolder and folders, but here they are all colors. So it's a good option to use something like that. That is when you split into rows. And one other thing about split column by delimiter is that there are some advanced options for that as well. One of the advanced options, for example, is if you want to split using special characters, you can do that. Another is code character. Code character is quite important, especially with some specific type of data. For example, let's say if my data looks like this. If the data looks like this, and I have set the delimiter as comma, then this would split it, this would break it into these areas. One here, one also here, here, and I would have like 5 columns as a result. But that is not ideal because this whole thing is one field, is address. And this is another field, and this is another field. How you can say it is another field? Based on these code characters. Double quote here, but basically whatever that surrounds your text. And if you have that surrounding characters, then any delimiter between that would not be considered. So if I have data like this, and if I split it by delimiter, the default code character is code, unless you change it to none. So if I keep it like that, then this would actually break it correctly into 3 columns. That entire address would be here, and the other 2 columns. That can be helpful for scenarios like this, that you have comma inside one single value, but that comma is also, let's say, a delimiter. Any delimiter, basically, not just comma. I hope you liked this video. If you are interested in videos like this, go ahead and subscribe into our YouTube channel. We have weekly videos on Power BI. Thank you.